Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anthony Carlo.
And I'm Brenda Blanco. It's 7:30, and we all know what that means. Welcome to the Local Live. We're broadcasting to you the only news show that covers the Mamaroneck, Larchmont, and Right Neck communities.
But before we start the show, LMC TV wants to invite you to our annual summer picnic on Friday, August 15th at Harbor Island.
There's going to be free food and drinks this Friday, August 15th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is an event you don't want to miss. So come out and join us for some fun.
That's right, Brenda. We're all looking forward to it. However, tonight, before the festivities, Mike Witch is joined by local live makers Rebecca Berman, Grace O'Brien, Amanda Vindigny, and Alina in our live round table.
We've got a great show for you this evening. Here's the preview for tonight's stories.
The Fairness for All Kids Coalition voluntarily withdraws a lawsuit against the Mamaroneck School District Board of Education.
Why is the Hampshire Country Club suing the village of Mamaroneck? Stay tuned.
Are you ready for the September 9th Democratic primary elections? I sum up the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum.
Interested in playing volleyball? Want to really get into the game? The Mamaroneck Co-ed Volleyball League is in the spotlight.
Aw, who's this little girl? Natasha is looking for the love of a new family. We'll tell you how you can adopt her at the end of our program.
Back on April 8th, we reported that due to the need to reduce expenses, the Mamaroneck School District passed a new transportation policy which stopped providing free busing for private or parochial students from grades 9 to 12. This has led to complaints from members of the community.
If you need to do something that takes care of a budgetary problem, you can do that with busing, but you have to do it to all of the students, public and private together. Go ahead and do it. You will need a much larger room than this one.
Look at these children who are here tonight. What is it about them that you can look to them and say, you have to spend an hour and a half to get to school?
You have a community that is clearly disagreeing with you. Why is there no response to suggest that you hear and respect the opinion of the community?
As a result, on April 23rd, Fairness for All Kids, a coalition of parents and community members, decided to take action.
Great regret that this community has been forced to bring a lawsuit against the district to stop it from putting in place a new policy which would take safe yellow school buses away from children and force them to use public transportation.
On August 11th, the Mamaroneck Daily Voice reported that Fairness for All Kids has withdrawn at least temporarily their lawsuit against the Mamaroneck School Board of Education.
Although the parents and district were at odds, the lawsuit was voluntarily withdrawn as not all kids would be denied transportation in non-public schools. The lawsuit was, according to thedailyvoice.com, regarded as premature.
Will the lawsuit come back if this district moves forward with the transportation reductions? We'll just have to wait and see.
The Hampshire Country Club is suing the village of Mamaroneck for $55 million. According to the Journal News, the lawsuit was filed after the village trustees declined to change the zoning code that would have allowed the club to build condominiums on its 116-acre property in Orienta Point.
The club also claims that the village violated the New York State open meeting law by discussing the project in executive sessions and disregarded its own comprehensive plan that supports the growth in housing.
The village says it has acted in the best interests of village residents and has not seen the newly filed lawsuit, so cannot comment in detail. It will respond to the lawsuit once it is received and reviewed by its attorneys.
The parties are due in court in White Plains on October 10th. We will be following the story closely. Remember, you can tell us your opinion on Twitter at The Local Live.
Here comes our segment in the media. Check it out.
From the Hamlet Hub, the town is offering beginner kayak lessons for kids in grades 4 through 6 at Harbor Island from August 25th to the 28th. The kids will learn basic skills, water safety, and they'll explore the local coastline, all while having fun. Registration deadline is August the 20th. A new diner is coming to New Rochelle, across from where the Thruway Diner once stood, and it's got two local connections. As reported in LowHUD.com, the diner is being built in part by Joe DeRoffoli and his brothers Steve and Paul in their company shop on Palmer Avenue. A crew of carpenters, designers, laminate fabricators, and others constructed 10 modular sections, complete with counters and kitchens and dining rooms with chrome trim and red and orange accents. And then they hauled them on flatbed trucks to the site. And the new owner-operators of the tentatively named New Rochelle Diner are none other than Steve Efstafio and his brother Teddy, and they run the Nautilus Diner in Mamaroneck. Both families have a rich history in the diner business. It's all in the Journal News. The new diner hopes to open within the next 6 months. The Center for Continuing Education in Mamaroneck is offering 140 classes this fall, and they're hosting a fundraiser on September 15th, featuring Larchmont's former Treasury Secretary, Timothy Geithner. As reported in The Loop, Mr. Geithner will talk about his experience during the financial crisis of 2008. The event is on Monday, September 15th, at Mamaroneck High School's McLean Auditorium. Tickets are $50. Fall classes begin the week of September 29th. All the popular classes are back, and there are 60 new offerings. Read The Loop for more information. You can also enroll in a class or purchase tickets to the evening with Mr. Geithner by visiting lmcee.org. I read in the Hamlet Hub that Westchester County's mobile shredder is coming to Larchmont on Saturday, September the 20th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the train station parking lot number 1. Confidential papers, and there is a limit of 4 full-size boxes per household. They can be shredded, not acceptable papers from businesses, institutions, or commercial enterprises. If you've got a question, here's the county's recycling helpline, 914-813-5425. The Journal News reports that an overhaul of the Thruway from the Bronx to Rye will begin on Monday, August 18th. Traffic flow in both directions are sure to be affected in the late evening hours as surveyors plot out the work, expected to take 2 years and cost almost $59 million. Major work starts this fall. Details are in the Journal News. And finally, much in the news media this week is about the sudden death of actor and comedian Robin Williams. Back in 1991, Larchmonter Robert Geller appeared on LMC TV and spoke about Williams, with whom he had collaborated on a film adaptation of Saul Bellows' Seize the Day. He told interviewer Russell Harvey how he attracted Williams to the project, that he found the actor, who at the time was not yet a box office draw, to be very literate and looking to push the acting envelope. Geller was the executive producer of the American Short Story series, then airing on Channel 13 and other PBS stations. You can watch that full interview online at vimeo.com/Russell Harvey. And that's some of the local news that I found online this week in the media. I'm Mike Witch.
You're watching the local live on LMC TV.
Good evening, I'm Michael Witch, and you are in for a treat tonight, so please stay tuned. Have you ever wondered who produces the local live? Well, besides the familiar faces that you see like Maura Carlin or myself or Anthony or Kyle, there are more than 24 people who work behind the scenes, sometimes in front of the camera. Take a look at some of the scenes we have now for you. These are our interns and our volunteers who have worked especially hard this summer in putting the local live together every week. We're now, I think, in our 34th episode. And tonight we're going to be talking to just a few of them to explain what that intern or volunteer experience is like for them, what they've learned, what they've contributed to the show, and hopefully you might get the idea or the inspiration to come down and volunteer yourself, or if you're a college or high school student, you can intern with us for credit. I've got a list here in front of me of all the names of the people, but I'll wait to read that because we're back live now. And let me introduce my panel. First is Alina Suriel.
Hello.
Hello. And Amanda Vidigny.
Hi.
Hi, Amanda. And Grace is with us.
Hello.
Hi, Grace. And Rebecca Berman is with us.
Hi, Mike.
And Rebecca, you're not a student, obviously.
No, I'm not.
Neither am I. And you're a volunteer. And so let me start with you.
Okay.
You have been working on the local live for how long now?
I think since December or January.
And you're primarily a realtor.
Yes.
So what do you do for the local live?
Well, I, had decided I'd love to do some on-camera work, and I produce restaurant videos to promote restaurants, and recently started doing open house videos promoting listings. And one of the things in conjunction with doing that, I thought, hey, if I could get into news reporting and doing lifestyle reporting, which is kind of what I do in my videos, it would be an amazing opportunity. And I have to say, at this point in my career being a realtor and having had a past career before being a realtor, it has been amazing the opportunities I've had here at the local live through LMC TV.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad you didn't badmouth us
No,
right off the bat. That would be hard to do.
As the saying goes, it has been all good, but it's actually been amazing. The panel here is college kids and high school kids, and it's really great to have an opportunity to be able to do the same things that they're doing as they start off their careers in television and in journalism.
All right, I'm going to come back to each of you and ask you what you've learned through this experience, but let me move next door to you and to Grace O'Brien. And Grace, you're in Westlake High School.
Yes.
What year are you in now?
I'm going to be a sophomore, so I'm going into 10th grade.
And you've been working on the local live just for the summer?
Yes.
Doing what now?
I've been writing, I've been in the office a lot, kind of researching new stories and working with Shayla and kind of getting the whole show ready for Thursdays.
And Shayla is Shayla Navarro, who's our executive producer, our senior news producer, I should say. I correct myself. Do you have any aspirations to be in front of the camera?
I do. They were trying me out to see if I would be good on camera. And
so you didn't break the lens or anything
like that,
right?
Thankfully not. But it's definitely something I'd like to do in the near future.
And did you have a great experience as Rebecca had? Okay.
I did. It's wonderful. Everyone was here with open arms, willing to teach me whatever questions I had. And it was something that I had never really thought to go into as a career, but it's definitely something I would like to do now in the future.
Are you earning credit from Westlake because of the hours you put in here?
Yes. After I finish my work here for the summer, I get a signature from one of the kind of head people in what I'm doing. And it's put towards volunteer hours, which then help me for different honor societies and graduating when I leave high school.
That's great. And it also looks nice on your resume.
Of course.
For applications to college. And speaking of college, Amanda Vidigny, you go to Iona College. And you and I met earlier, months ago, because you were in a class that I teach at Iona. And are you doing this for credit as well?
Yes. Well, I started in January, and I did not receive credit, and I only worked on Mondays, and I edited mostly. But now I'm working, I worked this summer, and I received credit.
So in order to receive credit, you need to put in a certain number of hours. Do you know what that total is?
Well, I actually put in 120 hours, but you could put in more hours than 120. And I actually finished last week too. So.
Do you have to write papers or make a report or of some other kind?
Well, you have to write 2 papers, and also I'm reading a book about Barbara Walters, so I'm still in the process of doing that, and I have to write a book report too.
Now, you did work in front of the camera as well as behind the camera.
Yes.
Which did you prefer?
Well, at first, I really liked behind the camera, But then, like, as I got familiar with the show and everything, I was like, I'm going to try in front of the camera. So then I was like, I'm going to report. So then I started reporting, and I really enjoyed it, yeah.
So you sort of challenged yourself a little
Yeah,
bit to go in front of the
definitely.
camera. Great. And someone sitting next to you who has graduated from college, SUNY Purchase.
I did just graduate from SUNY Purchase.
Yes, I know. And you've also moved on to a professional position.
Yes, it is all thanks to LMC TV. I can honestly say that.
Well, thank you, Alina. And so, now you're not allowed to work for the local live because we're considered competition?
Yes, actually, well, since I now work for Hometown Media Group, which is it's a newspaper group that has 5 different newspapers: the Mamaroneck Review, the Harrison Review, the Tri-City Review, New Rochelle, and Eastchester. So yeah, actually, the local live is considered competition.
Is that Howard Sturman's newspaper group? Okay,
I
name dropper I am.
I actually met him right here at LMC.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, LMC is really how I know everyone that I met in Westchester, because I mean, the funny thing about LMC is that they're really everywhere. You know, they're filming everything in Mamaroneck, they're filming everything in Larchmont, and so if you work on those things, then you get to meet everybody there, and you get to really learn about the community.
So when you were here, were you in front of the camera or behind the camera, as I asked Amanda?
Well, I did both because I joined a local live pretty early. So when I came here, it was still getting started, and we were still trying to get the first. I was like one of Shayla's first recruits. So when I started, we were still trying to get. I was actually in the first production meeting, if you remember.
Yeah.
So we were still trying to get anybody to come to work on it at all.
Yeah, you told me a funny story just before we went live about meeting the county executive.
Yes.
And not knowing who he was?
Well, because that was my first time on camera. That was my first time. I don't remember if I had not planned to be on camera, but basically I hadn't really planned to be interviewing people on camera. But Shayla just pushed me in front of the camera and she said, Alina, it's the Mamaroneck Shares. Go dance with the mayor.
Right.
You know, and so I interviewed Norman Rosenblum dancing with the mayor on camera, thanks to Shayla. And then some guy comes over and he says, do you want to interview Rob Astorino? And I said, that's okay.
I'll pass, right?
I said, that's okay, because I didn't know who Rob Astorino was, but luckily Shayla knew, and Shayla says, no, yes, come back, we want to interview Rob Astorino, and so I got to interview
You also did a heck of a jig down Mamaroneck Avenue. We did that parade. LMC covered the parade, and you danced your way all the way down to the harbor.
Well, because, you know, part of the reason that I enjoyed the local live is because it really lets people express however they want to express on TV, because it is mostly a volunteer show. So it's not like it's tightly controlled, or, you know, whatever you want to bring to the local live, you're encouraged to do that, you know, and if you are good at reporting for a parade and you're going to dance, then you can do that, and that's what I like to do.
Well, that's something I'd like to ask each of you, what you brought to the local live, or what you feel you've brought to the local live, since you are telling me now what you got out of the experience. But before we do that, I just want to remind our viewers that you're watching the local live, and we are live right now. If you'd like to call in and ask a question or make a point, you're welcome to do that. The number is on the screen. You can also email us and tweet in. And let me also say, this is a pitch for anybody who would like to volunteer or intern. If you're a college or high school student, you know, even if you're an elementary school student, we can still use help. We have technical positions to fill. We have in front of the camera positions to fill. I mean, how long do you want to see me up here? Come on. We needed somebody else. Just kidding. So, Rebecca, let me go back to you. And you brought some real life business experience to your work in front of the camera. And what else?
Well, I think something that did
Contacts?
happen.
Did you bring names, people, personalities?
I did pitch a couple of ideas to Shayla. And I think that relationship that you're allowed to have with the person who's executive producing the show is also amazing, because she really listens to, oh, you want to interview someone at the chocolate store, or you want to do this, or you want to interview the cigar store, or you would like that, or, you know, you can have those conversations and kind of help to assign yourself who you're going to interview. And I will also say for myself, I didn't really realize, because I'd never done reporting before, I never really realized that writing the pieces I've been doing and the people I've been interviewing could be so much fun. So I've really had a really, you know, a fun time, a good time doing that, and that kind of surprised me.
Do you get chocolate when you interview at the chocolate store?
No, you know, I noticed one thing. I do not.
Or cigars when you interview there?
The problem with interviewing at all those yummy food places, and I interviewed the chef owner at Roasted Peppers as well, the problem is that there's food everywhere. So, you know, it's good and it's bad, because you're like, oh, yum, I didn't know this place existed. Great, I can come back here to eat and get more chocolate.
But you also get to know the community a little better, don't you?
Absolutely, and I don't live here in Larchmont, Mamaroneck, or Rhinebeck, and I will say it's such an amazing community and very warm and welcoming, and it's really been an unbelievable opportunity. And again, I know, you know, I'm not a college high school kid, but college high school kids should use your facilities. You guys really allow you, as Alina said, to make it what you want to make it, and really let yourself be who you want to be. So I think it's a really exciting place.
Grace, you've brought youth to LMC and to the local live. What else have you brought, do you feel?
I'd like to think, like in the office, when during the week when we're working, I've brought different points of views to different things, whereas when we're covering a story or looking at something new, rather than just listening to one person's point of view and reporting on that point of view, I like to think I brought a different idea to it and kind of put a spin on some of the stories, which is fun to do.
And probably some tech savvy.
Yes.
Because somebody like me I'm still struggling with iPads and iPhones, and I find that I can go to a meeting and there are nice people like you who just use it all the time. So, oh, here's how you do this. So you've saved me some.
That was nice in the meetings when I took the notes for the meetings and looked different things up during the meeting. That was also a fun thing to do.
And Amanda, as a college student, have you taken classes in things like journalism that you were able to bring some skill to the local live that way?
Well, I actually took your class, television studio production. So I definitely came to LMC like learning a little bit about TV and video.
Sure.
But you guys really honestly helped me a lot more, because it's really like hands-on here and everything, and you could do whatever you want. Like you could do camera editing, whereas in most places, like you don't really do as much hands-on, so that's like really helpful. And I think I brought like editing and all like the techie things too, because I am like a pretty techie person, and I did update the social media webpage and everything, and yes, I think that's what I brought. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because not everybody knows that all of our shows are archived and they can be seen online. So if you miss any of our wonderful shows, you can watch them afterwards. You can also call LMC TV and they will play it on demand for you, because they have all these digital files, right? What's the place where people go to see our show?
You can go to WordPress, and you can also go to lmctv.org.
Yeah, the website for LMC TV, and it's on that page, right? Somewhere to connect to all of our shows.
There's a local live tab on the side, isn't there?
I think so.
A YouTube channel where most of our videos are.
On YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, good. And Alina, I would say you brought a spark.
Gee, thanks.
And you're still sparking, right?
Gee, thanks. You know, the truth is, Mike, I loved working on the local live, so I had a hard time leaving.
Yeah, but there's nothing like a paying job.
There's nothing like a paying job, that's
and
true.
we don't pay. You know, LMC TV is a nonprofit organization. I know the board of directors, and I was just privileged to be named back to the board. I had served years ago, but I'm back on the board. But before that, the board did appropriate some money to get this new show going again, because there's some history to this show. For at least 15 years, there was a great producer named Jeff Montanaro who produced a show called Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, and he had a regular group of volunteers. And then that changed, and Jeff sort of bowed out, and there was no news. No news on LMC for at least a couple years. So the board wanted to see that change. And We were then able to get Shayla in as our senior producer, and that made it all happen. And then some regular volunteers came on board, like myself and Maura Carlin, and some of the LMC staff. We can't forget them. I mean, Dina and Matt Sullivan and Rob Moretti and Christina are all working on the show. In addition to their regular jobs, they're doing some editing and camera work, and they train us as well in the use of equipment. So you loved it, huh?
I loved it, yes.
And now you're
well,
gone.
Now I am, well, yes, because I'm not allowed
But
to.
you're here.
I'm here, well, because also I'm lucky enough to be working in the vicinity of Mamaroneck.
You're on tonight, aren't
So
you? You're going out
I'm
after
going
this.
outside to take pictures of Mamaroneck shares for, I should be doing that right now.
But we can't see your pictures.
You will see them next week in the paper.
In the paper, but we can't see them on the local live.
I guess not, no.
No, that's the competition.
No.
So one of the nice things that can happen as a result of volunteering or interning is it leads to contacts, it leads to enhanced resumes, and in your case, it leads to a full-time job.
Yeah, I mean, also it made me feel confident enough that I could do this job because I didn't really think of myself as a journalist, honestly, before I came here. But, you know, this is a real news show. Like, the news that they're reporting before the top stories are real news that actually really matters to this community and had to be researched and fact-checked. And so it's no joke, the stuff that's being reported here. It's like a very real opportunity.
What's different about the local live than, let's say, the Journal News or the Patch or the Loop? Anybody want to take that question? What's unique about, I mean, I have an answer, but I'd like to hear from you. Grace?
I feel like it's more personal, like when we tell the stories or when we research the stories. When we report on them, I feel like people feel a little bit more personal, a personal side to it, because we're going out in the streets and they're seeing us interview and they're seeing us go to the places where actual stories occurred, and it kind of helps them to dive into the stories rather than just reading an article on the Patch or the Loop, and it just kind of, it helps them to understand it more.
Are we more local than local news as Channel 12 keeps advertising themselves?
Local.
We're hyper, well, they say they're hyper local.
Oh, well.
You know, that's a term
So
from
did the Patch.
The Patch is hyper
So
local.
did the Patch.
Well, we're super duper hyper local.
Well, this news show makes it come to life, so obviously.
There you go. And we can also afford to give the mayor or a trustee or an artist or an acupuncturist, for that matter, all the people that we've had on in the last 33 shows, we can afford to give them as much time almost as they want, because we're not limited. We don't have to fit ourselves into a little 28-minute time period.
Right.
It's about celebrating the community more. I think all of those news outlets have to provide you with hard news, unbiased news. But the local live is more about celebrating how great Mamaroneck is. It's more about like positivity in the community, I think, rather than anything else more.
That sounds good. I just want to remind people, if you're tuning in, we've got a couple more minutes to go. We're talking with 4 of our volunteer interns, who help us produce the local live every week here on LMC TV. And you can call in, you can tweet, you can email, and so far I don't think we've gotten anything, but that doesn't mean people aren't watching, because sometimes it takes a lot to get people to pick up that phone and call. But in any event, by the way, have any of you been recognized outside the studio? No?
Not yet.
Not yet?
think so.
It'll happen.
I
It'll
actually
happen.
have.
Yeah. Yes?
Well, because also through LMC, I also, which Amanda will be doing this next semester, but I also taught as an assistant the LMC after school.
Oh,
So
okay.
I actually went to all 5 Mamaroneck. I actually went to all 5 of the Mamaroneck elementary schools with the teacher, Kelvin Guevara, who also is an LMC worker. And so we really got to know all the kids in this community. And so then when we were out filming with LMC, they would recognize us, and it was just a whole different dimension of LMC communities that were touched by this
You know,
channel.
I remember years ago when I was working at Mamaroneck High School, and we did a series with the superintendent of schools, and he always doubted that a lot of people were watching, until he came up to me one time and he said, I was in line in Stop and Shop, and people recognized me. He said, now I know people are watching. So that was his turning point. I can't believe that we are out of time, but 20 minutes has just flown by. But I want to thank each and every one of you. I could talk to you for hours. But I just would like to read the names of the people who are helping to produce this show tonight. We've got right with me Alina Suriel and Rebecca Berman and Amanda Vidigni and Grace O'Brien. And then there's from Iona College, Kyle Byrne, Anthony Carlo, who is anchoring tonight, Mary Donovan, Siobhan Flattery, Jordan Barilli, Gustavo Ramirez, Xavier Campos, Frank DeSalle, who's behind a camera, Louis Simons, who's in our control room directing our show, Asher Collins, Remy Litvin, who's doing sound for me. How do I sound, Remy? Good enough? Corey Parker, who's from Mamaroneck High School, just 15 years old. He may be our youngest volunteer, or intern, I should say. And then Maura Carlin, Dina Schumacher, Christina Carino-Forrest, myself, Eric Lewis from LMC TV, of course, Matt Sullivan, who's the Associate Director of LMC, Rob Moretti, who's the Sports Director, Stephen Brianti, and Philippa Wharton, who works with you primarily, right?
Yes, she does all the filming and editing on the news packages I do.
So the message is, if you've got the time and you've got the inclination, come on down. You don't need to be technically experienced, as long as you've got some time, and it's a fun opportunity. You'll learn something, you'll get a little more confident in yourself, and stay tuned because we're going to be right back with some more of The Local Live. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, you're watching The Local Live. Stay tuned.
Woo!
Yeah.
The League of Women Voters held a forum for the candidates running in the Mamaroneck Democratic primary. The candidates presented their views on some very controversial topics. Alice Bloom hosted this event that gave voters a closer look at who they will be voting for on our own. What happened?
The League of Women's Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that has been around for nearly 100 years. Made up of men, women, and people of all ages, they've been fighting since 1920 to engage people in decisions that impact their lives and improve our government. They held a forum to help voters get to know candidates running for the Mamaroneck Democratic primary just a little bit better and some of their views on very important issues. Formed from the movement that secured the right to vote for women, the main focus of the League's efforts is to give a voice to all Americans. The forum did just that, giving voice to the candidates that will ultimately be working to hear the voice of all those voting for them. The four candidates are Andres Bermudez-Hallstrom, Alyssa Miller, Leon Patak, all of which are incumbents, and newcomer David Finch, who is running for the first time. There are 5 issues being explored in the forum. The first is whether or not the Board of Trustees should consider changing zoning regulations to permit construction of multifamily condos on the Hampshire Golf Club property.
That's what I'm saying. We have to consider reasonable proposals.
Okay.
Proposals that fit as close as possible to our zoning or the intent of our zoning.
The second issue is the question of should the Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission's decisions be advisory, as many board decisions are, or should they carry the weight of the commission and be binding? How much weight should actually be given to this commission?
It's been in the press lately that the Board of Trustees has made the HCZM advisory for everything. That is a misstatement. Okay. The only change that was recently done was that now the HCZM is advisory only with regards to village laws and proposed laws and policies and village projects. Okay. So if the application is anybody other than the village of Mamaroneck, then their decision is binding. If the application is the village of Mamaroneck, then it is a recommendation.
The candidates are then asked to outline a strategy for preserving structures such as the Playhouse movie theater, which is going to be demolished and replaced with condos.
The key question has been, can we retain it as a theater? And the current owners who bought it and have movie houses around the Northeast do not want to run a movie theater there. Perhaps with new owners, we can find some way to retain some performance space in the building, but I think it will take new owners.
The future of sport time at Harbor Island Park is discussed, and even the fate of our very own LMC TV is addressed, and the possible use of the old firehouse to move the studios.
I know that there are various creative ways to have a community that has a television studio, a local television studio on its main street on 6th Avenue will attract a lot more people into LMC TV, attract different types of programming, hopefully up that programming, and also be attractive to others who are looking to come into this community. There are people that love TV and want to get into it. And if they have access to a way to do that, that's right in their backyard and right in their community, well, what better way to do that?
The forum was an hour long and is available on lmctv.org. Remember that the power of the democratic process is that you exercise your right to vote. The primary will be held on September 9th, and the league will be holding its annual candidates debate on October 8th. For the Local Live, I'm Anthony Carlo, signing off. What do you get when you take the beach and add a little bit of competition? The Mamaroneck Beach Volleyball League. Join the Local Live's own Sasha Malas for a little competitive volleyball action.
We're here at Harbor Island Beach as competition heats up with the Mamaroneck Co-ed Beach Volleyball League. The Mamaroneck Co-ed Beach Volleyball team is where people come from all over to be a part of a volleyball league. To outsiders, it looks like just a friendly competition, but it is also where new friendships are started. Beth Reichel and Anthony Perrone, the founders of the team, actually met because of this sport.
We actually lived in the same building. I didn't know. We met each other, and then she knew I played volleyball, and I brought her out one night to a picnic, and we started playing volleyball, and since then, it's nonstop with her. In fact, she plays more than I do now.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's his fault that I'm never home.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of their newfound love of volleyball and a lack of it in Mamaroneck, they decided to start the co-ed beach volleyball team 5 years ago. Since then, the tournament has grown. They have about 220 people of every experience level playing now.
Well, I've been playing volleyball for a very long time, over 20 years. And I found out about this league last year. So it's been a year for me, twice.
Same here, I've been playing for maybe a bit more than 20 years.
The team has become so popular that they even have a league that plays in the fall.
It starts on Sunday, September 7th, and you can find out information through the village itself. And we also have a Facebook page. It's Mamaroneck Beach Co-ed
Beach Volleyball.
Okay. And all information will be on there as well with our contact information, so people can reach out to us via email or they can reach us on our cell phones, and we can send information to everybody as needed.
Anyone can join. The only requirement is that you are 16 years of age.
Most people join by team. We do try to get individuals on. It depends on, we have a couple open net nights usually at the beginning of the season. They'll come down, we'll try and get them on a team. But usually most people are team oriented, but we try to get the individuals on a team. Well, we have 3 different divisions. We have competitive for people who've played for years. We have intermediate, which is kind of like, you've been playing, a couple of years. And then we have rec for people who just started, so you can learn actually how to play. And we, teach you and help you play.
Mamaroneck Beach Volleyball Team is not just exclusive to Mamaroneck residents. People come from all over to play. Are you from Mamaroneck or do you travel to come here?
I travel from Stanford.
Oh, wow. As you can tell, this is not just a competitive league, rather it is a community event where friendships and relationships are formed. So come out and join the Mamaroneck Co-ed Beach Volleyball League and come play me. I'm Sasha Malas for The Local Live.
Hello Mamaroneck, I'm Carly Rose and you are watching The Local Live.
Natasha is an 8-year-old shepherd boxer mix seeking a new family. Natasha was found on the streets of West Virginia with no one to look after her. She's as sweet as can be, loving to play and cuddle with children, dogs, and cats. She's spayed, microchipped, and up to date with all her vaccinations. For information on how to adopt Natasha, please contact Vanessa Moyo at vmuoio@hrg.net.
Well, viewers, it appears we're out of time. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of local news.
We're here every week to keep you current on everything newsworthy in our community.
As always, I'm Anthony Carlo.
And I'm Brenda Blanco. We'll catch up next time here at The Local Live.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.